The Shadow has always been one of the coolest commanders in Rise 4 in my opinion, and I want to start making videos about evil commanders again, and I need your guys' help. If you have a commander that you really want to see featured in a video, please join my Discord and let me know. There's going to be a link down in the description. I don't have the time or the money really to play 2 accounts, but I'd love to get a commander guide video for every single commander, at least all the decent commanders in this game produced. So if you want to help out, please do let me know. Let's get into it. All right, we'll start things off by looking at a couple of reports. This first report is kind of just a showcase of the potential of the Shadow. This guy, one of the Ha 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 members, a bunch of us named ourselves Ha 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 this season, just as a fun joke among friends. But anyways, this guy was not running focus protection, and you can see that the Shadow did 200 and almost 214,000 commander damage, and his army cranked out 160,000 damage. Here in a second, I'll pull up a more balanced report, but I thought that this one was a pretty nice showcase of what this commander is actually possible of doing in the right situations. As far as a more even report goes, I have this one against a Gandalf the Grey. Neither of these commanders is 100% full on their army, but they're both pretty close. They're both bringing T4 units into the fight as well. And this Gandalf the Grey is using both quilted armor with focus protection, as well as, sorry, I'm clicking on all of the wrong things, as well as high alert. Now, the focus protection doesn't help that much against the Shadow, although it does help some, but high alert reducing poison damage by 50% certainly helps a lot against this commander. As far as the skill build goes, thankfully I do have this report in game because Omni is on my server. And I forgot to mention, huge shout out to Omni for sending me these reports and giving me permission to use them in a video. I've been talking to Omni a lot on Discord. He's a very knowledgeable player about the game. I've learned quite a few things from him, not the least of which is how exactly the Undertaker title works. So Undertaker makes your attacks deal damage to all enemy units, and the max level effect says normal attacks inflict poison damage. A sort of hidden benefit of this skill is that because it converts your normal attacks to poison damage, it makes your normal attacks scale off of might as well as focus. Little interesting mechanic there that Omni was able to tell me about. He also puts a couple points into Plague for the anti-heal. He brings Black Arts for the anti-heal as well. And then full 15 points into Ring Wraith because this is going to significantly increase the Shadow's poison damage. Like we just talked about, Undertaker makes those normal attacks deal poison damage. He also puts points into Screech. Really amazing skill here with the chance, 100% chance at 7 points of stunning 2 enemy units on the first round of combat. And it does some burst damage as well. He does have a couple of points in Morgul Poison. This is actually a somewhat underrated skill in my opinion for just a couple of points. I don't think it's really worth ever putting 7 points in, but having extra sources of damage can more quickly wear down layered damage reductions like from White Council, like from Arwen, from Isildur, and heroes like that. And I'm pretty sure that this also sort of goes through avoidance in the sense that, let's say your enemy has a shroud armor, which is going to give them 1 stack of avoidance, or they have fleeting movements, which has a stack of avoidance. I'm pretty sure the way this works is that the normal attack can be evaded, and then the poison damage actually goes through. And then finally, he does pick up the R5 title Shape of the Void. 15 of 15 points there. This means that for the first 4 rounds of combat, the Shadow has a chance of attacking twice every single one of those rounds. Pairs very, very nicely with the Undertaker. So during those first 4 rounds of combat, you have an incredibly high chance of hitting every single enemy unit twice with poison damage. He also takes lower defenses, so that there's a 50% chance for all of those units that he's hitting to receive an extra 30% damage. And he has Detect Weakness, which is going to give himself a chance of gaining bonus damage as well. All in all, in the first 4 rounds of combat, this guy can attack a ridiculous amount of times, dealing damage to everything. And as I've talked about in many, many videos, is that early round bonuses in this game are the king because of the way damage mechanics work. Your army and your commander are going to lose damage as they die off, meaning if you can gain a very sizable advantage in the early rounds of combat, that can snowball and just completely overpower people in the later rounds of combat. As far as his equipment goes, he does have a fully refined Morgul blade with poison coating. This is giving him even more poison damage, and it's going to be increasing the damage of his Reapers. He also has the Corrupted Halberd, which is the unique item for the Shadow, and it has the special ability Troll Wall. Also, please note it has extra attack for those Reapers, and a pretty substantial amount of might, I have to say. But anyway, when every single round begins, if allied trolls are present, all allied units are going to get a damage reduction against the first source of damage in that round. Very nice to help your squishy units like those Reapers survive into the later rounds of combat where they start to shrine. I said shrine, I meant shine. He also is running a Cask of Pride with Warcry, which is giving him a damage bonus in the early round for his army. And I don't know why I tried to click on the trolls. He's bringing a Drums of Moria just for a nice distribution of stats. Like I said, this guy scales off of might as well as focus, so you get to kind of double dip there. It's also bringing even more attack for his Reapers and some army speed as well. Let's check out how much plus attack do these Reapers actually have. So +9 from equipment, not shabby by any means. And I think that this particular army composition is the one that I've seen Omni running the most. Obviously, if you're going to be running the unique, you really want to be bringing those mountain trolls along to help the rest of your army survive. Mountain trolls pair perfectly with Reapers because the mountain trolls get to tank in those early rounds of combat. I clicked on Warlords. Thanks to the taunt, it can help those Reapers survive into the later rounds so that their execution on the 5th round of combat, they get a ridiculous damage bonus. So the trolls help them live into the later rounds of combat, and then the Reapers are just going to shred everything. Reapers are one of my favorite units in this game, honestly. They're actually just crazy. And he's also bringing Warlords, the Gundabad T4 unit. And these guys are also pretty crazy as well. If you don't have access to them, I think you could bring something like Crushers. You could probably bring some Alchemists, although running into High Alert and Champion of the Light with Alchemists is somewhat risky. I think Dragoons could be a reasonable option depending on what you are fighting against. If the ranged units are giving you a problem, I don't see any issue with even bringing some Dragoons along. Half Trolls, maybe even Arbalests. I think there's a lot of respectable unit options that you have at your disposal. Halberdiers, even just whatever you need in order to counter what your enemy is doing. I do think the Shadow has some amount of flexibility with his army composition. The main thing I would point out, like I did a few minutes ago, is if you're going to be running his unique item, bringing trolls is pretty much mandatory. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thanks again to Omni for allowing me to use his reports. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.